The doctrine of mercantilism claimed that the source of a country's riches was its stockpiles of precious metals. For example, the mercantilists argued that Spain grew richer when the French imported Spanish goods in exchange for gold coins, and the Spanish, in turn, bought nothing from France. Such a trend would allow the Spanish to accumulate more and more gold coins, and this presumably demonstrated their increased prosperity. The classical economists annihilated the mercantilist system. David Hume pointed out that the mercantilist program was self-defeating. For example, as Spain accumulated gold coins, Spanish prices in gold would rise, while French prices would fall. Eventually, it would be impossible to prevent Spanish consumers from buying the cheaper French goods and thus sending gold coins out of Spain. In his celebrated treatise, Adam Smith observed that the true measure of a country's riches wasn't its stockpile of coins, but rather the amount of commodities its citizens could enjoy. In a particularly famous passage, Smith wrote, "It is the maxim of every prudent master of a family never to attempt to make at home what it will cost him more to make than to buy. What is prudence in the conduct of every private family can scarce be folly in that of a great kingdom." The classical case for free trade was solidified in the writings of David Ricardo. Earlier thinkers such as Smith had typically argued that it would be silly, for example, for English workers to make wine if French workers could make more bottles per man-year of labor. In economics jargon, Smith's argument said that countries should specialize in those industries in which their workers held the absolute advantage. But Ricardo took the case further. Even if the workers in one country were better in all industries, in the sense that they could churn out more units per hour regardless of the specific product, the superior country would still benefit by trading with less developed countries. Economists describe this as workers specializing in the field where they hold the comparative advantage. In everyday life, these principles are so obvious that even labor unions wouldn't deny them. It would be silly if experienced tailors insisted on growing their own food, while farmers insisted on sewing their own clothes in order to create employment opportunities for themselves. Instead of this reliance on self-sufficiency, in the real world it is obviously much more efficient for people to specialize in the occupations at which they are the most productive, and to trade with others who can produce other items more cheaply. This is true even for extraordinary individuals who excel in many areas. For example, a lawyer will still benefit from hiring a secretary, even if he is a better typist. By hiring the secretary, the lawyer frees up his time to focus on those areas in which he really excels, those areas in which he has a comparative, not just an absolute advantage. For a different example, a brain surgeon still benefits from the option of going out for lunch, even if he happens to be a faster cook than the teenagers working at Taco Bell. The classical economists demonstrated that international trade raises standards of living in all participating countries by deploying workers in areas where their labor is the most productive. If a particular occupation needs government regulations in order to survive, that tells us that the workers in this occupation would be more useful somewhere else. Creating jobs isn't the issue. Creating the right jobs is what truly counts. The French thinker Frédéric Bastiat, 1801 to 1850, was one of the most eloquent champions of free trade. His famous Petition of the Candlemakers is arguably the best economics essay ever written. In this brilliant satire, Bastiat urges his government to pass a law requiring the closing of all windows, dormers, skylights, inside and outside shutters, curtains, casements, bullseyes, deadlights, and blinds. In short, all openings, holes, chinks, and fissures through which the light of the sun is wont to enter houses, to the detriment of the fair industries with which, we are proud to say, we have endowed the country, a country that cannot, without betraying ingratitude, abandon us today to so unequal a combat. If only the legislators would outlaw the merciless competition from the sun, then the candlemakers could expand their business, hire more workers, and shower untold benefits on the economy of France. Bastiat's point is that tariff supporters make arguments very much like this and deserve equal ridicule.